Guys, welcome to another episode of my YouTube channel, where today I'm going to go over 3 tools that you can start applying to your everyday life to bring your spiritual practice into your everyday life so that all the spiritual knowledge you have will actually make a difference in your everyday life. Just got back from hosting my first Sacred Sister retreat, which was absolutely amazing. I had 9 beautiful women there ready to dive deep into awakening their feminine energy, connecting with their feminine energy, and creating a sacred sisterhood, which they absolutely did. They came willing and ready to go all in. We talked about a lot that it wasn't just about going and having fun and having this girls' weekend and all those things, which they did have fun too. But I made sure they were really prepared to come in and do the work, the really, really deep work that is going to release all the shadows, all the shame, all the guilt, all the really dense energies, all the really dense beliefs around their own sacred feminine energy, and bring that into embodiment so that when they go back into their lives, they're more balanced, because ultimately that's what it's all about. Full spiritual integration is really about balance. And for many of them, they were completely off balance between their masculine and their feminine energies. And so this retreat really was about awakening that feminine energy from within, going deep within the, like I said, their bodies. The feminine is all about being in the body. So it was about getting deep into their body, letting go of all the blocks that were in their way so that they could fully embrace and fully embody their feminine energy. So there were 3 big themes over those 3 days that we were together that I think will be super helpful and super useful to all of you out there to start applying to your everyday life. So I wanted to share those 3 themes with you so that you could take these and again, start using them and practicing them in your everyday life, because let's face it, most of us on a spiritual path struggle with these same things. And this is what my work is all about, is taking these spiritual concepts, spiritual knowledges, spiritual wisdom, and actually making it a practical way of living, integrating it into your everyday life. And with these 3 tools and tips, I believe you can do just that. So the first theme actually started from within me, but as we opened up the sharing circles over the 3 days with all of the women, I quickly realized that this wasn't just a theme within me, this was a theme within all of them as well. So the first theme, which I'm going to give you a tool for, is this. Number 1, you will never be ready. So what does that mean? So typically in the past, when I've put on workshops or put on retreats or even on my online workshops, I am super prepared. I get into that sort of masculine mental preparedness. I get all my slides ready. I have all of this knowledge to fall back on. I have everything prepared so that I know for every single minute what I'm doing, what I'm talking about. Every single second is taken up with preparation. And I do that because I want to feel prepared. I want to feel ready. I want to not feel scared. I don't want to jump into the unknown. But here's the thing. This retreat was all about embracing the sacred feminine from within us. And the feminine is all about flow. It is about leaping into the unknown without needing to know what's going to happen. And ultimately, that's what spirituality is believing in something beyond what you can see, hear, taste, touch, and feel. It's trusting in something that you can't see or that you can't know for sure is real, but you believe in it, you surrender to that. And that's what the feminine energy is flow. So what this means is I decided if I was going to host a retreat that was all about embodying the feminine energy, then I have to do the same as well. So with this retreat, I didn't prepare as much. I didn't have all of these slides. I prepared, but I didn't have a million slides. I didn't have all the knowledge. I had sections of things that I knew I wanted to cover and exercises that I wanted us to do, but I didn't over prepare. I left room for the unknown. It scared me truthfully, I mean, I'm all about authenticity. I'm all about showing up real for you guys. It scared the shit out of me. It scared me because I knew I had to trust in myself ultimately. I knew I had to go into those 3 days and trust in who I was, trust what I had to offer, trust my ability to lead, and trust my ability to be open to the unknown so that something greater could happen beyond what I had imagined could happen. Because that is where the magic happens, is in the unknown. And if I planned everything out and I didn't leave anything open to the unknown, then nothing greater could happen, nothing magical could happen. But that, of course, scares the shit out of me because I tend to get into my masculine when I'm preparing for these things or when I'm hosting any of these things, instead of being in the flow with things, letting the unknown happen and not over preparing. And so that allowed me to jump in the unknown, scared as I was. But here's the other part to that. People think that I'm just going to wait till I'm ready, or I'm going to wait till I have the confidence. You will never, that is what creates the confidence. You will never be ready. Diving into the unknown, jumping into the unknown is what creates the confidence. That's exactly what creates confidence, is going, you know what? I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if I'm ready. I'm scared as shit, but I'm going to jump anyway. And as I said, that wasn't just happening from within me, that was happening within all the women. The workshop actually started for them before they ever even showed up. All sorts of chaos was happening. They felt unprepared. They felt scared. They had never opened up like this to a group of women or group of females before. Many of them opened up in ways they had never had in their entire life before. Totally unexpected. They weren't expecting that. They didn't expect that of themselves. But they dove in even when they weren't ready. They dove into the unknown and let themselves be open to the flow of what happened over those 3 days. And because of this, some real deep magic arose within me, within all of them, within the circle, within the entire group. So if you were thinking, I need to wait until this, I need to wait until that, I need to wait till I'm more prepared, and you tend to go into that deep masculine, then I invite you to bring the feminine into balance, which is jumping into the unknown, which is allowing flow to occur. Number one, you will never ever be truly ready. You will never feel ready. And that is the epitome of the unknown and surrender and flow. Number two theme. This was a massive theme throughout the 3 days. Letting go of control. This kept coming up. And of course, because again, the purpose of the retreat was to move more into the sacred feminine. And instead of being overbalanced in the masculine, which is control, which was, as I talked about with number one, which was allowing flow to happen. But in order to do that, you have to be willing to let go of control. I see this as such a common theme in people who enter a spiritual path. They want to connect with energy. They want to connect with source. They want to manifest. They want to do all these amazing things. They want to have mystical experiences, and yet they aren't willing to let go of control. And I don't just mean in breath work and meditation, because it's definitely in those two things too. But it has to also be in your everyday life. So when I'm talking about spiritual integration or practical application, this means in the smallest moments of your everyday life, when you're not even thinking about things, when you're just going about your day, controlling everything that happens. And that's where you have to let go. That is where you're going to have to notice some things and let go of control. I challenged these women to do this day after day after day that we were there, because it happens so quick and so subconsciously. And so because this was a common theme, I told them throughout 3 days they weren't allowed to do anything for anyone. They weren't allowed to try to control anything. And the funny thing was, the underlying theme was toilet paper, oddly enough. Apparently, some people use this sort of sense of control with toilet paper, always making sure that they have enough, which I thought is really hilarious. But the other really common theme of this was checking the weather. So I'm going to tell you guys this. I have not checked the weather in probably 3 or 4 years. I don't know, maybe longer. I made a commitment to myself that I don't check the weather. That for me is if I'm going to say that I create my reality, if I'm going to draw the line in the sand, the weather, then I'm really screwed in my everyday life. If I can't just let go of that and totally trust that I'm always taken care of, no matter what, if I truly believe I am the creator of my reality, if I truly believe that I am God in drag, thanks to Ram Dass for that quote, then of course I'm always taken care of. Of course that I just have to leave myself open, prepare the best I can, but also just know everything's gonna be okay. And so the number 2 theme and the number 2 tool that you need to start applying to your everyday life is pay attention to where you are holding on to control in the tiniest of moments. So what I asked them to do was, number 1, I asked them, the people that were obsessive about making their beds every day, I asked them not to make their beds, and I asked them not to check the weather, because we were in Oklahoma, and of course there's some weather and tornado things going on. So I invited them not to make their bed and not to check the weather. Those are 2 really practical things that you can start doing every single day. Literally watch the resistance come up when you don't check the weather, or watch the resistance come up when you don't make your bed, and sit with that. Learn to sit in the uncomfortable feelings of letting go of control, because if you can't do it every day in those moments in your life, you're not going to do it in your breath work, you're not going to do it in the meditation, and guess what you're holding back? Connecting to who you truly are, which is God, which is source, which is the universe, which is the divine. That is what you are keeping separate when you try to hold on to control. You have to let go of your human self in order to connect with higher energy, in order to work with energy within your body, in order to work with energy in the outer realms of our 3-dimensional world. You cannot control that. You have to give that control up in those moments. And so how you practice this and you apply this to your everyday life, I'd see people go to these meditation retreats, and they would have these mystical experiences go out of their body. And yet when they went home, they had to control everything in their environment. So that meant here was one aspect of them that wasn't getting integrated into their everyday life. And so find something that you do that you can challenge yourself every single day to let go of control. Maybe it's not making your bed. And maybe you do that 3 times a week. You don't make your bed. And maybe you stop checking the weather, and see how much you can truly allow yourself to surrender and let go of control. I promise if you practice this, you will notice a huge difference in your being. You will notice a huge difference in your nervous system. You won't feel so tense. You won't feel so nervous. That need to control is because you're in a fight or flight response and you're trying to prepare for the worst case scenario. But when you truly let go and trust that no matter what happens, you're taken care of, your nervous system is going to calm down, and you're going to move through your life effortlessly and with ease. And you're going to manifest quicker because you're going to be in a more relaxed state instead of a sympathetic response or a fight or flight response. So number 2, where can you start doing that in your life? Maybe, like I said, it's not checking the weather. Maybe it's not making your bed. Which then leads me to number 3. What energy are you doing it in? Actually, side note, I have a side note for number 2, because there's 2 ends of this spectrum. There's people in the spiritual community that, as I said, they're preparing all the time. They're in fight or flight. They're in that heavy masculine, and they're trying to let go of that. They're trying to move more into the feminine, let go of control, relax into the present moment, get out of their fight or flight response, calm their body down, calm their brain down. But then there's the other end of that spectrum, which is no control, which is too much in the airy, fairy, crown, third eye, magical, mystical, and not at all grounded into their bodies, sort of in that healed masculine, the balance between those 2. And I see many people do this as well. In fact, the retreat, there was probably about half and half. And that end of the spectrum actually needs to ground down into their body more. So that may mean more discipline, actually. If you never make your bed, or you never check the weather, you never prepare for anything, that may mean you actually need to incorporate your solar plexus, your discipline, your will, your personal power every day. And that may mean for you that you need to start doing more of a scheduled thing every day. Instead of just being out in the ethers, all branches and no roots, that you actually need to work on the other end of the spectrum. For that, I'm going to do a video about just that. I wanted to add that side note in there because it's important to see both ends of the spectrums on letting go of control. Okay, so back to number 3. What energy energy are you doing it in? So leading in from number 2, I had a woman say at the retreat, I know many of you are saying, but we have to operate in a 3-dimensional world. We have to move through the world. So you're telling me that I should just never prepare. I should go to that other extreme, right? Where I'm just leaving everything up in the ethers. I'm just leaving everything to surrender. I'm not actually moving through the world with intention. And that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is to bring those into balance. A great way to do this is to ask yourself, what energy am I doing this in? I'll give you an example. So for me, I used to be what I would have considered myself a clean freak. People joked about it. They said I was OCD. I was a clean freak all of the time, and not just tidy, but a clean freak. Every nook and cranny had to be spotless. What I realized after going through my spiritual awakening was that was just a form of control, because as a child, I felt like I had no control over my environment where I wanted to be. So in order to sort of deal with that, my coping mechanism was cleaning. It was a way for me to feel in control. Only what it was doing was just keeping me locked in that fight or flight. It was keeping me locked in old Emily's, what I call her, my default self. And so every time I would clean, I would get into that nervous, anxious, trying to control energy. And so when I started shifting, I started letting go of programs and conditioning and all these pieces of myself, of my default self that weren't serving me. What I came to realize is I actually am not a clean freak at all. Now, I'm not like the other extreme. I'm not a pig, and I'm not messy and disgusting and any of those things. I value cleanliness, but now I do it in a completely different energy. I don't do it in that angsty energy. I do it in really good energy, because I know the importance of having a clean environment, having things tidy, but I don't make it to the extreme where I'm trying to control. And so now, before I clean, I make sure that I'm in the energy of M. I'm in the energy of flow. I'm in the energy of being happy and joyous and doing this because it adds to my everyday life. It doesn't take away from it. I use that example a lot because it's a really common one. Cleaning, sometimes when you're OCD about it, it's just another form of control. It's another form of a coping mechanism. And now that I let that go, I don't need to control my environment so much. So that doesn't mean that I don't make my bed. I make my bed maybe 5 out of 7 days a week, but I'm not obsessive about it. If it's not made, I don't freak out. It's not the end of the world. If it is made, that's great. That's fantastic. And so you can do this with everything you do. So if you're I'm not saying don't check the weather ever, although I don't, but ask yourself, what energy are you doing it in? If you're looking to make sure you have toilet paper all the time, what energy are you doing that in? Are you doing that just to prepare and be playful? Or are you doing it in that sort of angsty, oh my God, I'm not going to be taken care of. I'm in this fight or flight response. And so I have to do this. You can literally do this with everything in your life. What energy are you doing it in? If you start asking yourself this, truly, you're going to start to be more aware of just your energy in general and everything you do. You may start noticing, oh my God, I'm in a fight or flight response more often than I thought. My body is more tense than I thought. I was doing all these things to control my environment more than I even realized. But if you check in with yourself and go, all right, why am I building this schedule? Why am I preparing this way? Asking yourself that, then you have the opportunity to actually change your energy around it and to open up opportunities when they're there to let go of control. Sort of like me letting go of control of this fly flying all around my face as I'm trying to freaking record this. Now it's gone. Anyway, so letting go of control, asking yourself, what energy am I doing this in? And knowing that you will never truly be ready. Those are 3 themes that came up over those 3 days that I was together with those women, and 3 actually really practical tools that you can start applying so that you can experience real change and real transformation in your everyday life, not just when you're in your spiritual practice, but when your eyes are open and you're moving through the world and ultimately creating balance. Integration is a full balance and integration of your spiritual self and your human self. So it's not just compartmentalizing, oh, this is my spiritual side that I don't share with anyone, and I only move into that when I'm at retreats, but it's pulling that in so that it actually makes a difference in your everyday life so that you're experiencing lasting transformation and change. Hopefully those 3 tools helped you. Let me know in the comments. Did they help? And if you want further guidance or further assistance on this, you can actually download my free PDF that tells you 5 ways to clear your root chakra, because when you can work within the root, that's going to bring all that spiritual wisdom down into your body, into the feminine, into your everyday life. So there'll be a link in the comments that you can download that guide. I will see you next week with a really exciting announcement from Scott and I. Let me know in the comments if this was helpful, if you started applying this, what you noticed. I love you all. I will see you next time.